5 girls stood in the upstairs hallway of the Worth home, pleading with their host to join them in the bathroom. "It's only a game," the other girls egged her on. I don't know," Elizabeth replied, her eyes averted. "It's a silly game to scare you. Come on, please," one girl interjected named Alice. Elizabeth thought really hard this time. She'd been friends with Alice for years, so she was the only reason she'd ever even consider doing any of these scary games like this. "No one's ever been hurt doing this, have they?" "No, Liz, I promise you it's safe. You know it's just a goofy urban legend. Come on." She bit her lip for a moment, slowly giving in to her friend. "Okay, let's do it." Before long, the 5 girls had crowded in the upstairs bathroom with the lights off. Some giggled while the others fidgeted around. Alice turned her flashlight on her phone on and aimed it into the mirror. "All right, girls, we have to say it at the same time, okay? Everyone ready?" All girls nodded their head at the same time. The light on Alice's phone danced around in the bathroom as they spun in circles 3 times, chanting, "Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary." With each turn, they stopped, some giggling even more with the dizziness, and tried to be still as they gazed into the mirror. "I don't see anything," one girl whined. "You have to wait," Alice hissed back. They all waited in eager anticipation. As soon as they were all very quiet, Elizabeth was on the verge of running away, but tried her best to be brave in front of her friends. "Wait, did you see that?" another girl stated, sounding quite serious. "Shut up, you didn't see anything," another chastised. "No, really, I think I see something." "You're not getting me with that. Can we go now?" "Just wait." After another moment of silence, then, "I see it!" a girl screamed in, making them all jump and run out of the room. All 5 girls were soon back in Elizabeth's room, huddled together. "All right, enough with the ruckus. Go to bed, girls." The voice of Liz's father bellowed through the door. At this, they got very quiet and whispered among themselves. "What did you see?" "I saw a woman behind us. A 6th person." "No, you didn't." "I swear I did." They all chatted into the night, save for Elizabeth. She indeed saw something, but did not tell the others. Unlike the other girls, she did not see something bombastic or interesting. There was no other woman in the room with them during the game. What she saw was something so subtle that no one else would have taken note of it. Right before the other girl screamed and ran out of the bathroom, she was focused on her own reflection. Scared as she was, she only focused on her sullen, terrified face, and that was when she saw her reflection doing something that she wasn't. Whatever the other thing is in the mirror was, it was smiling back at her. In the upcoming days, their shared hysteria was a popular topic among other girls. Yet, Liz remained quiet as she had been avoiding her own reflection during this time. It was only for a brief moment, but she knew whatever looked like her in the mirror wasn't her. After a week, the incident slowly slipped out of her mind, and she chalked it up to just being caught up in the moment. So, she started using a mirror again, as she couldn't avoid them forever anyways. While brushing her hair in the bathroom, the lights flickered, and she took a deep breath. Everything appeared normal, so she continued brushing her hair until the reflection began acting on its own volition. Stunned, she watched in silence as her reflection actually stepped out of view, so that she no longer had a reflection at all. "This isn't happening," she said to herself. "It's not real. It's not." "What's going on?" A voice startled her from the hallway. "Everything all right, Liz?" Her father was peeking in through the crack of the door. "Yeah, I'm fine, just talking to myself." "Okay, weirdo." He chuckled and went about his way. She looked back to see her reflection was normal again, as if it just snapped back into place. For the next 2 weeks, Elizabeth couldn't see her reflection without something strange happening. Even at school, her reflection would smile at her, wave, or taunt her in some manner. It was always worse at home. And one night, the strange doppelganger had started trying to communicate with her. "What do you want?" The entity put their head on their hands and began crying. Elizabeth watched in confusion, as this thing was always terrorizing her so far, and now it was crying. Maybe it was some poor spirit trapped, somehow. "Did something happen to you?" Her reflection did not respond, but she saw something forming in her hands. Soon, its hands were covered in a red substance, and the reflection lifted her head, revealing blood trickling out of the eyes. She suppressed a scream, and her doppelganger began writing on the mirror in the blood-soaked fingertips. "Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary," was written across the mirror now. "Please, leave me alone," she yelled, not caring if her parents heard. It shook its head and wrote even more. "You asked for it," it wrote. "No!" The door banging made her jump, and her father's voice on the other side, outside of the door. "Liz, what's wrong?" "It's okay, I slipped, that's all." "Are you all right? Can you open the door?" To keep her father from worrying anymore, she unlocked the door and turned back around to the mirror to see everything was normal once again. Her father put his hands on her shoulders and looked at her intently. "Are you sure you're all right? You've been acting strange lately." "It's really okay, Dad. Just being a teenager." "Yeah, I'll say. Keep the strange to a minimum if you can, okay?" He kissed her forehead and began to walk away when he stopped. "Hey, Liz, does this have anything to do with that game that you and the girls were playing?" "Huh? That? Oh, no. That's just a stupid kid's game." She walked out into the hallway to join him, and just as she was leaving the bathroom, she saw her reflection out of the corner of her eye. It was wagging its finger at her in a malevolent shark grin. The next day, Liz came home and was getting ready for the night out with her friends. As much as she hated it, she needed to use the large mirror in the hallway bathroom just to prepare. Everything was normal until she started putting on lipstick. Out of nowhere, her reflection threw down the lipstick and stared angrily at her. Frozen, she could only watch as her doppelganger stormed over to the reflection in her bathroom door and slammed it shut. And her actual door slammed shut. "What? What are you doing?" She with a pleading tone, laced with dread. Whatever this thing had in store for her, it wasn't good. Her reflection returned to its position across from her and glared intently. Suddenly, the light in the bathroom shifted from a soft white to a sickened red hue. The awfulness in Liz's stomach churned, and it took most of her strength not to get sick. A heavy, unexplainable weight pressed on her as she struggled to catch her breath. The doppelganger pulled its arm back and struck the mirror from its side. A large crack appeared, and the entity reached into it, grabbed the shard of glass from her world, and methodically pulled out a jagged sliver. The two locked eyes as the reflection began slicing something into its arm. A burning sensation started on Elizabeth's arm, but she was too afraid to look away from her. When it was done with this awful act, the entity held up its arm for Elizabeth to see. With the words in reverse, she wasn't sure what it said at first. To her shock, she needed only to look at her own arm to see what this thing had written. Bloody Mary. She tried to open the bathroom door, but it was held in place by an unseen force. Thinking quickly, she grabbed the plunger and used the wooden handle to jab the mirror out. With the crunch of the glass, she heard a pain-filled shriek. She quickly began destroying the rest of the mirrors and was finally able to open the door again. Out in the hallway, it felt completely different. It wasn't heavy or oppressive, and she could speak and breathe normally again. Once she regained her composure, she knew what she had to do. Going out into her father's shed and retrieving his hammer, and she spent the next 20 minutes destroying every single mirror in her home. Her parents came home hours later to find her asleep in her bed from exhaustion. Before even waking her, They saw words carved into her arm and were immediately distressed. Elizabeth tried to make a story about why she did it, knowing they would never believe. They could tell she was lying and questioned her relentlessly until she told them the truth. Seeing that she was being truthful about something so impossible, they had her evaluated at the nearest psych ward. She felt betrayed, being punished for telling the truth. Yet, Elizabeth's strange demise did not end there. The young girl was actually relieved after she arrived at the psychiatric hospital, as she realized that there would be no mirrors available for patient safety. She thought it actually may be the only solution for her dilemma, yet she could not account for the darkness of man. A new orderly had started his job there, one who reveled in messing with other people's minds. This deviant learned of Elizabeth's story and her strange fear, and so had an easy way to get a reaction out of her. While this poor girl heavily slept under medication, he put a small mirror in her cell. He watched and waited for her to wake up, his phone ready for a live stream and the entire sick act. While making others miserable was his hobby, being internet famous was even more important. This was the perfect storm for him to achieve both of his goals. Yet, he could not have prepared himself for what happened that day. The entire event was caught on his phone, as he never stopped recording the live stream. The watchers of the video detailed a young girl in her cell waking up to a mirror in front of her. She began screaming at the sight, yelling for somebody to get it out of her cell. The laughs of the orderly could be heard, followed by the awful comments degrading this poor girl, as she was unaware of the girl's condition. Others commented for the orderly to stop, understanding that this was not an ordinary girl. The orderly responded with making jokes and scoffs. That is, until things got out of hand. In the video, the young girl could be seen levitating off of the ground with no explanation. The orderly and the audience replied in a state of shock and awe, and the girl dropped to the ground. The orderly dashed over to the poor girl's cell, swearing the entire way there. His focus was no longer on speaking to his audience, as he realized that he may have costed himself a job and the safety of his patient. He arrived at the girl's cell and dropped his phone as he tended to Elizabeth. Somehow the phone landed so that the rest of the events could be seen. It was strangely convenient, and many speculate that the whole incident was staged, yet the police reports would state otherwise. As the orderly tended to the girl, a form began to appear in the mirror. A red haze began to glow as a woman came into the view. Red light caught the attention of the orderly, and he gasped in shock at the sight. The woman had long, flowing black hair and blood streaming from her eyes. "Who are you?" the man screamed, his eyes bulging out of terror. "Oh, I think you know," the woman replied, and went into peals of dark, horrible laughter. The laughter went on for an uncomfortable amount of time, when the woman let out a shrieking, awful scream. The mirror exploded into shards of glass, and the orderly turned himself to shield with his arm. When it was over, the orderly looked back in disbelief and mumbled to himself. It was silent for a moment. Then the patient stood up behind the orderly, who was completely unaware. The girl's hair covered most of her face, and all that could be seen was a devious grin and the glint of something sharp in her hand. Comments flooded the video for the orderly to look behind him, but they could only sit and watch. Without warning, the patient grabbed the orderly from behind, pulled his head back, then dragged the jagged piece of glass across his throat, soaking him in his own blood. The last moments of the video saw the orderly drop to the ground dead as the female patient quietly exited the cell. The video was quickly taken down, as it was no longer a form of entertainment, but evidence of a horrible event. Police reports say that after Elizabeth left the cell, it was unknown how she managed to get out of the hospital. With all of the security monitors, she was never revealed exiting the ward or the building. The door to her cell opened up that last time, as if it was by some invisible force. Even stranger was after the police did a sweep on the psych ward. In the staffing area, a small bathroom with a mirror. The bloody shard of glass that killed the orderly was found resting on the sink, and the mirror was at a strange angle, as if it had been disturbed. To this day, Elizabeth has never been seen again. Thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you would like to see more, make sure to like, comment, and if you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to check out the links in the description as well, like Twitter, Instagram, everything like that is in there, including my Gmail. So if you want to submit a story, that's the way. But with that being said, stay safe, stay scary, and I'll see you in the next one.